Over the past 18 months, 7% interest rates and inflation have become the norm in the real estate markets. This has led to far fewer homes coming to market because so many sellers are stuck in 2.5% or 3% mortgages. But beyond the fluctuations in inventory levels and interest rates, this new normal has once again solidified the role of the competent real estate professional at the center of the transaction. Allow me to explain. Good representation has always been valuable, but in cheap interest rate climates where homes sell in a weekend, it becomes a lot harder sometimes for the average person to see the value in the real estate professional. But now let's start with buyers. 7 or 8% interest rates means strategy becomes far more important when making any offer. Like when rates are 2.5% or 3%, strategy can take a huge backseat because it's just about offering more money and getting the house at all costs. But now the logistics, the timing, the right loan program, like all of that becomes really important because you have to pay the piper. 7 or 8% interest rates are not inexpensive. So a good buyer agent, someone with solid answers in all those categories, have just become far more valuable to the average buyer. But for sellers, this gets even more pronounced. In a time where pandemic buying demand was through the roof, you could list a property on a Thursday and collect offers on a Monday or Tuesday at nearly any price. Right now, pricing the property properly, that's a mouthful, is what wins the day. But there are far fewer comps because so many sellers are sitting in 2 and 3% interest rates and aren't coming to market. So a savvy listing agent needs to make better sense out of fewer data points and really nail the price, because if you go too high in a market like this, you're going to sit. But if you nail the price and you get it right, there's still enough demand to get top dollar in a sale. So when you boil this all down, getting the most for your home and the best possible buyer comes down to pricing the property properly, as well as the strategy around it. And this kind of brings up my second point. Getting the property in front of the right eyeballs is paramount. In other words, if you're not marketing to the right people right now in a reduced buyer climate, you're going to sit on the market. So the trick is to get everything looking its best in front of the right eyeballs in the shortest amount of time with the right price. And that's the role of marketing right now. You can't just list homes and they sell automatically. But if you do this correctly, you can still absolutely get top dollar. But if you don't, you sit on the market, and we can prove that sitting on the market leads to less money for a seller. And this last one is a doozy. It's really the elephant in the room. And don't shoot the messenger, it's not my fault. But more and more properties than ever are selling off market. And I know your MLS is actively trying to stop that, but in spite of those efforts, this is a trend that is getting more and more momentum. Now, if you're not working with a company that has access to those off-market deals or fosters an environment where off-market sales can occur, you're missing out on the entirety of what you could possibly buy, as well as the comps when you go to price your property for sale. In addition, if you don't have an agent that is plugged in with networking and going to sales meetings and really talking with their colleagues, you're missing out on them potentially coming across one of these perfect properties that you'll never see on Zillow. If you're not good at the job, in other words, you can't market a home, you can't price it properly, you can't add value to a buyer's transaction, you don't have solid answers, great loan programs, like if you're struggling with all those categories, you're worthless at a time like this. But if you have great resources, you are resourceful yourself, and you're plugged in, your value right now is through the roof. And if these 7% interest rates haven't helped your business, just know that it's helped re-solidify your role in the center of the transaction where you make a large impact in the outcomes of your client's sale or purchase.